democracy is described as a government of the people or by the people, of the people, and for the people. Why are we seeing seemingly hollow democracies around West Africa? Democracies that are not giving good governance. Meanwhile, democracy is touted as the best form of government to give good governance, where we see other countries that have weak democracies or no democracies at all, and seemingly good governance and economy is doing well, people have high purchasing power and all of that. Perhaps, okay, let me just give you some examples. China, for example. Okay, like in Africa, okay, we can say like Seychelles, we can say some other countries like that. So what exactly is happening?
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. And there's a lot of social science research in this area. When people say democracy is the best form of government, they leave the latter part, because it was Winston Churchill that said this. And he said, of all the other things that we've tried, right? You know, so he's not saying that democracy is some kind of a magic bullet. He's saying it's flawed in its own way, but when you compare it to every other form of government, it's the best we have, right? So that's number one. Then some social science literature on this says, is there a direct link between democracy and development? You would think that the most democratic countries in the world would be the most developed, right? If there was that direct causation. But it's not.
It's not,
So if you look in Africa, Namibia, I think, is ranked highest in terms of a democracy index. But it's not the most developed, right? If you look at the development, in terms of development in Africa, Seychelles, you know, will be seen as one of the most developed. But they are not, in terms of the democracy ranking, ranked as high as Namibia. Now, if you go to places like China, for instance, and this is probably at the heart of, you know, that great book, Why Nations Fail, by Darren Acemoglu and James Robinson, you know, where they argued that, you know, if you have like inclusive institutions, etc., that your government would do better, you know, you develop better. And then the question is, what has happened in China? If China is one of the most illiberal governments, but they've exited almost 1 billion people from poverty in the last X number of years, they have become one of the biggest economies in the world. You know, what's going on? Versus like an India that is the biggest democracy in the world, but is not the most developed. So there could be a correlation between democracy and development, but there is no causation. There is no causation. It's not like once you have democracy, then it's a magic tonic that means you're going to be developed. So yes, let's get it very clear. Democracy is the best form of government of every other thing that we've tried. But the fact that you have democracy does not mean that you would have development. You need to work hard to deliver development to the people. And there are different ways that you can drive development.